Some of us, we have celebrated Pancake Day this week, so Shrove Tuesday. And along with that, introduced this week has been Lent, which is going to be on for 40 days. I just wondered, what have you chosen to give up anything? I know I haven't, because I understand that for some people, since the start of this lockdown, it's been feeling like Lent already. We can't go out and see people and do stuff, so it feels like we've already given up a lot already. So, what have you been doing for this Lent so far? But what actually is Lent? So it's a 40-day period, remembered by Christians. So that leads up all the way to Easter, from the day after Shrove Tuesday, so Wednesday. But the reason why it's 40 is because there's lots of biblical significance in the Bible of 40 days, or just the number 40 in general. And here are some of them now.
Rainbow. In the story of Noah's Ark, God said that the people had behaved very badly and they were making the world a terrible place, and he wanted to start again, to give the world a fresh start, new life. So he saved the best people he could find by putting them in the ark with 2 of every kind of animal, so that they could reproduce and start again. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and the rain flooded the earth, and I think the people must have felt miserable, locked inside the ark. And stop. And the rain stopped, and it took 40 more days for the floods to go down, and Noah and his family and all the animals to leave the ark. And then there was the rainbow, the sign in the sky that there was fresh life, a new start, and a new promise that God would never do this to the earth again.
Moses and the 10 Commandments. The Israelites. God's people had become slaves in Egypt, so God called Moses to lead them into a new land. The people in the new land needed to find a new way to live. Moses went up a mountain and spent 40 days seeking God with nothing to eat. Going without food can make us feel miserable. And God gave him the 10 Commandments. 10 rules to help people live a new life.
A bottle of milk and a jar of honey. God told Moses and his helper Joshua that he would lead them and their people into a new land flowing with milk and honey. In other words, a land where there was food and where life could be sweet. But the people did not trust God. They were full of moans and groans. And so God let them spend 40 years wandering around in the desert to help to prepare them for their new life in their new land.
David and Goliath. Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Israelite son. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread. For 40 days, the great big Philistine giant Goliath came and strutted around God's people. The people were frightened and full of moans and groans. But then the young boy David flung a stone at him and defeated him. Then the people had a new freedom from the Philistine enemies. All the stories are about something new emerging from a time of testing and moans and groans. There are some other number 40 stories too.
All the stories we've looked at, and there are others in the Bible as well, refer to 40 days and 40 nights, or even 40 years. Some people think that's a literal number, and others think that 40 days and 40 nights is a way of saying a very long time. It's interesting to me that the human gestation period is 40 weeks, from the point of conception to birth, not exactly 40 weeks, but there or thereabouts. I like to think of the number 40 like that. And in all those examples, including the human gestation period, they are examples of a period of difficulty, of pain, of moans and groans. But in the end, new life emerges, something beautiful comes out of that time of trial. You might be watching the video of the parakeet egg, and in that video we see something so small, so fragile, so vulnerable, and the man that's giving the nurturing care plan to that egg takes so much care. It's so thorough and it's so slow. But as we see the bird emerging, it's so worth it. And I think that our times of trial can be a little bit like that. So if we apply this principle to lockdown, think what could emerge from this time. What new life will there be? What fresh starts and new beginnings? What we're going through now, what could it all become in the end? The cross. When Jesus grew up to be a man, he had to prove that he followed the way of all these leaders before him, Noah and Moses and Joshua and David and all those others, and that all of these people in the Old Testament were pointing to him, the leader of all leaders, God's Son, Jesus. And so, like them, he also had a 40-day test. But Jesus' test was the biggest one of them all. He didn't have the rain like Noah, or the mountain like Moses, or the giant like David. He had the devil, God's arch enemy. If he could withstand being tempted by the devil for 40 days, then he could lead his people into a new life. And so this is what Jesus did. He passed the 40-day test. He didn't let the devil spoil any of God's plans for him. And then he emerged from the desert, from the wilderness, and led people through his death and resurrection at Easter and into a new way of living forevermore. So what about you? What has lockdown been for you? Has it been 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness? Has it been more like 40 years? Have you discovered your weaknesses, realised there are things that you struggle with? And have you found your strengths? Have you found the strength to overcome and do things that you never thought were possible for you? What new life could emerge from this period of lockdown? It's possible to come out of this stronger, with new visions, new goals, new life. Here's a video of Jesus' time in the wilderness, his temptations. I wonder if you can spot the temptations that he faces, whether you can see the emotions and what he's enduring mentally and emotionally. I wonder if you can see yourself in some of the images.